I consider leaving for High Island. Reaching Island. The boat awaits you at the coast. You need to take exactly 4 people with you, and so far 4 souls will be willing to join you. Oh my god. To leave with the crew, you need to start preparing in the morning. Before leaving, better make sure you're well prepared to face the unknown. There's absolutely nothing else we can do. We're on the last day. I think we gather the crew. Alright. You need to take 4 souls with you. We only got... So we got the leader of the big game hunters. Huge win for us. The scavenging crossbowman, huge. Quintus, he's a stubborn man. He's not going to help much. And Thrysus, the plant-bending warlock. I didn't even know we had him. It's not the best band of people, is it? We don't really have many strong souls. It's us and Dalit, pretty much. All right. We're doing it. We're doing it. Quintus shoves the boat into the water. Oh, they actually have, like, different rules and stuff. It's so good! You take a deep breath of the chilling air and adjust your clothes, but even their second layer is barely enough to keep you warm in the breeze. You stare into the night and listen to the roaring waves. The seagulls jump between the teeth-like rocks, seeking food and rest. You look around, almost forgetting that Gordon is waiting for you in Gale Rocks. Then, turn toward the others. If you got any questions, now's a good moment to ask them. We've got a few rough hours ahead, but stick together and we're going to make it. I clear my throat. We're heading to danger, but we'll return as heroes. Let's get. If you got any questions, now's a good time to ask them. Is the water always so loud and angry? Delete addresses no one in the particular, even if it's gorgeous. Thrysus wraps his creepers around his arms. Don't let me start. I've got all the questions. How about turning back, murmurs Pyros. You get in the boat and grab the planks, not used to the swaying. I'm not asking the right for protection. The right is one of the reasons why all this thing went wrong. We can do this. The first few minutes are the slowest. You push off the sharp rocks with the oars and even your arms, but the restless waves charge at the boat again and again. Above the dark salty waters, through the bright night, you can see the outline of High Island. You get used to the rhythm of rowing. Your allies are focused on the struggle at hand. Rowing will be harsh, better to take turns. The waves in the deeper waters get tall enough to splash your lips. That's when the harpies take their chance. The pack, a few monsters strong, lowers their flight, seeking an opportunity to strike. Their fluttering, bat-like wings try to oppose the wind. The creatures are smaller than goblins, with ape-like features and talons that make you think of a parrot. It's too dark to tell the color of their fur. If you can, shoot them. I get my axe away. We got a... I think we use arrows. Journal. We got Delete here. She knows exactly what to do. Harpies. According to Delete, are you ever going to find them? There should be none in these woods in the thicket of much too dense. If you have to travel where they live, just be sure you have a few guards with you. They won't attack a group of humans or take a crossbow or spells. They're common on the coasts and open waters. I saw them from Gale Rocks Beach. Rocks and sticks don't fly well when thrown upward. A bow would be safer. Howlers and herbivores. We use our crossbow. If you can, shoot them. We have somebody with a crossbow. The coral shot by Dali and Firos keep you safe for another few breaths. The shells of harpies hit the water, only to get dragged away by the waves. Piercer's first shot misses, but he reloads his crossbow with sheer strength, releasing the second coral soon after. After his target loses its paws, it screeches in pain and attempts to flee, ignoring the dark blood dripping from its stump. Time for my crossbow. As your coral hits the harpy's hip, the creature tries to fly for a little bit longer, but soon crashes into the water and disappears beneath the surface. Deli turns towards you with a coral in her teeth, what makes her look like she's making a wide grin. I reload and shoot. The coral rips a hole in the leathery wing of one of the creatures. After a few moments of trying to stay in one spot, it clumsily flies away. The remaining members of the pack take no more chances. They spread in various directions, seeking shelters among the tusk-like rocks. That was amazing. That was amazing. Great job, everyone. The survivor survived more battles than most travelers. After rowing for an hour or so, you leave the coastal rocks behind. The gentle waterfall ahead won't be too difficult to reach. But if it's not the spot that hides the old harbor, the wasted effort and cold winds will surely exhaust you before you find it. You look south. There's another waterfall there, one much more fierce. Dali looks at you, but says nothing. She seems to be seasick. I love the rapport me and Dali have. I'm going to be so sad if she dies. She's our girl. Oh, the soundtrack! I hope this isn't like copyrighted or something like that. This is the spot. Let's try to land here. We should head for the southern waterfall. Why? Why is it saying the southern waterfall? Did we learn something that I forgot? Oh, no. Groups and places. High Island. I need to reach the cave behind the closer waterfall. I've heard about a group of city folk who landed it during the wartime and never returned. Direct route from the village to the island is crowded with harpies. Okay, okay. Maybe better to have a proper ranged weapon or shooting expert. According to the old sailor, I need to take the strong source of light with me. The island is so overgrown. Locals are forbidden to sail to this island. During the nighttime. Okay, so I think this is the one we go in. The closer waterfall. We don't want to head for the southern one. This is a spot. The long minutes go by, and the roar of the waterfall devours all other sounds. Here, the wall of the island isn't as flat as it seemed to be from afar, and the tide lets you reach a few high ledges, flat and wide enough for a boat. Even though it's dark, you recognize some old wooden beams as well as a few copper rods, remains of an old structure. There's another boat, or rather a small chunk of it, tied to a post, just a few steps away from you. All of you get out and scrape the hull against the ash-colored rocks. Let's prepare the ropes. The cave behind the waterfall is maybe 30 feet above you, but getting to it will take some effort. The ancient stairs and handrails have mostly fallen apart, and the slippery rocks are nothing less than a trap. Oh, Thysus can put the creepers to use. I know Quintus listed us the ledge. You'll go last. The bone hook will make it much easier. We might as well use the creepers. Put the creepers to use. Sure. He stretches them out, not only easily grasping the nearest root and broken stairs, but also supporting your back as you try to move. Not a Quintus? I guess I don't think there's any reason not to do this stuff. Not a Quintus. The bone hook will make it much easier. I shorten the distance with a few confident jumps. You notice one slab that's wider than the others and use it as a starting point. You reach the larger chunk of broken stairs, and while the bronze structure protests with a loud screech, it won't collapse anytime soon. You reach out to one of your companions to help them join you. Finally, you pull yourself up into the dark mouth of the cave, the remains of the original stream. I love that. We did it. Flawless. Flawless. I think we actually chose like the perfect people for this quest. Who would have thunk it? What a ragtag crew of adventurers. The stream roars above you. You light up a torch. The long, dark tunnel is moist and full of bats, which, surprised by your presence, flee into the deeper corridors. Finally, off the damn boat, Deli's face regains its color slowly. Her soaked hair is now maybe 1/8 of its regular volume. The remains of the harbor aren't any more dignified than a pillaged hamlet. The mold and insects spared only a few scraps of wood, while the scavengers scraped clean any pieces of steel and copper. You run your eyes over the spread stoned tools and the scratches left by dragged carts and hulls. Ahead is a brick wall with no door or hinges. Pyros unpacks his belongings and prepares a bunch of fine torches. Will last us a few hours, eh? We should get going. I prepare my equipment and get ready to reach the surface. For a few more minutes, you walk by the remnants of the past dwellers. The scraps of fabric, stone bowls, a spot with broken chairs and tables. You walk past a few anxious bats and salamanders and plenty of spots from which water drips into the tunnel. Sooner or later, the stream will break through one of the countless cracks and reclaim its old bed. You freeze when your light touches the black and creamy fur of the beast. Not sure if you should run, you give the monster a chance to turn its boulder-like head. Capped with a single horn, it's the size of an adult human. The creature may be as large and heavy as a house, but its eyes open one at a time, slowly, as if they haven't decided yet if you're really here. Is this a unicorn? This might be a freaking unicorn. I think the music might be a little bit loud. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. All right. I look left and right. The creature almost fills up the width of the tunnel. Your crew looks paralyzed with eyes wide open. You lower your voice to a whisper. We got Dali. She's the monster hunter. What would you do, Deli? She scoffs. Brought any giants with you or living dragons? There's suggestions. A few amulets he has with him rattle as he leans towards you. I have no poisons for unicorns. Pyros? He gives you a terrified look. Quintus? He pays you no attention, too afraid to move. Alright, alright. I'm gonna guess that this frickin' unicorn is gonna judge us, and we saved a whole bunch of animals. It's gonna love us. We're gonna befriend the unicorn and we're gonna ride it on a rainbow of glory. Unicorns. According to Delete, they're solitary creatures. You know what people say, that unicorns crave flesh filled with pneuma. We didn't bring any pneuma flesh people here, but rarely hunt humans and are only afraid of the larger beasts. According to Gain, you'd like to cut the skin of a spirit of havoc. City folk think unicorns are but a battering ram, yet they're their own soul carriers, led by judgment, not anger, eat grass and shoots, not flesh, and whom not with calves, listen to friendly voices, the kind tales and prayers. I don't fully understand that, but I think we don't kill it. I'll handle it. It blinks, observing your touch. Be cordial. Good day, madam. You happen to have the most exquisite sense of fashion sense in these decrepit lands. Yes? I raise my open palms. Nice cave you got here. I'll just walk by you, alright? I reach towards its horn. Who's a sleepy nightmare monster? I walk around it. I raise my fist and shout, get out of my way. I reach towards the horn and listen. I really need to get to the other side. I think we need to do this. Or we just don't touch it. I walk around it. Maybe we just don't touch it. Hold on. Unicorns are among the most feared creatures in the Dragonwoods. They charge at the front, able to get through the wooden almost stone and crash. This is the most important thing to learn. They think they're a battering ram, but they're their own soul carriers, led by judgment, not anger. Eat grass and shoots, not flesh. And when not with calves, listen to friendly voices, the kind tales and prayers. And when not with calves, listen to friendly voices, the kind tales and prayers. So this one is alone. They listen to friendly voices. Friendly. I think we gotta be friendly. You talk for a bit longer until the unicorn lowers its head and lets out a lowered snout, hitting you with the air from its nostril. You take a step closer, then walk around the creature's bear-worthy fur. Before you get behind its rear, you have to put your boot on a rock to step over its outstretched leg. The beast returns to sleep while your allies look at you as if you're crazy, but obediently follow your command. Let's go! You think a filthy dark beast unicorn flesh-eating monster is gonna give us the willy-nillys? Ain't no way, ain't no how. We befriend it with awkward conversations. It's charming, damn it. Only a few boulders separate you from the deep woods. The song of the sea and the hum of the stream are overshadowed by the screeches of the beasts and their prey. It's like challenge after challenge. While there are some rusty remains of an old cart and the gentle slope was carved by tools that leads you towards a wall of shrubbery and creepers, you get to the top of a large rock. There are no roads in sight, but you spot a humble trail made by hooves and paws. The worried looks of your crews are as lost as you are. Dali? Oh, you don't know the way? She pushes her wet hair behind her ear. If you want, we can try through the thicket, but usually I left the path finding to other hunters. Suggestions? He doesn't even notice your question, just observes a small cat that's jumping between the tree crowns. Come on! Heroes? You know me, Roadster, he chuckles. I'd rather follow the road. Quintus, any ideas? He just abandons his face. I see no dragons from here. We can try whatever. We want to get to the volcano, right? Can we see ourselves on the map? Let me read this again. Only a few boulders separate you from the deep woods. The song of the sea and the hum of the stream are overshadowed by the screeches of beasts and their prey. While there are some rusty remains of an old cart, and the gentle slope was carved by tools, it leads you toward a wall of shrubs and creepers. You get on top of a large rock. There are no roads in sight, but you spot a humble trail made of hooves and paws. There's some rusty remains of an old cart, and the gentle slope was carved by tools. It leads you towards a wall of shrubs and creepers. You get on top of a large rock. There are no roads in sight, but you spot a humble trail. I feel like we take the trail, because that could have been left by... Like, it's hooves and paws, not humans. But do we trust the beasts? I see the shape of the volcano. We head through the wilderness. Do we have anything... Like, maybe we have to choose based on what we have. We still have snakebake. It leaves flower remedy. It's an alchemical ingredient. The box... Oh, we still got the box here. That's good. I don't think we have anything to really deal with either or. I guess we follow the game trail. Let's follow the game trail. It may be narrow, but proves to be firm and straight, and the plants that surround it grow from the remains of an old road hardened with rocks. An owl gives you a group of clearest glance from branches above your head. After a few minutes, you reach what seems to be a proper trail, beaten wider than a wagon and leading both toward the volcano and away from it. Among the thicket, you spot the remains of a stone wall, long since collapsed. For now, we'll stick to this route. The further trail is canopied by overhanging trees, blocking the moonlight. You hear panicked hooves and flapping wings, but you can hardly see anything. Fewest raises a few of the torches he prepared. If you've nothing better than this, we should light them up. I've got a lantern. Don't worry. You grab your tinder box, crouch down, and after a few breaths, you shove the lit candle into the frame. You stand up and shake the lantern it holds. You move on, free of the limits of the night sky, as the yellow glimmer dances on the leaves. Just pay attention to the sounds. The familiar yells of howlers fill up the path ahead. The monkeys are moving among the tree crowns, barely visible, and the longer you're around, the greater the pain thumping inside your skull. The territory is vast, and they don't need to attack you to wound you. Okay. The familiar yells of howlers fill the path. The monkeys... I think we just plug the ears. I'm pretty sure we just plug our ears, and we have some of those earplugs. Let's be safe, though. Howlers. Their shouts are like spells that will make you sick. All it takes a minute or so. Maybe with a single one we'll be there, but they're never alone. You see packs of them in the woods. You better stay away from them, or be sure to have as many ways to keep them scared of you as you can. If they ain't afraid, right after they deafen you. Okay, we still have more to learn about them. What would you do, Deli? She loads her crossbow. Thera, suggestions? She observes the closest monkey. Even I cannot reach them, but they better not get any closer. Firos? What are we waiting for? Any ideas? He jumps in place. He's preparing to brawl. They're not that big. Let's go. I plug my ears, do the same. After you throw them a candle, it takes them a few minutes to shove some wax into their ears. The howling becomes muffled, but as long as you have ears, some of it will reach you. I raise my shield. Try to ignore them. We're going to run for the other side. Having a reliable source of light with you, you manage to scare off the few howlers brave enough to get in your way, following Quintus's unstoppable charge. Let's go, Quintus! You leave the beast behind without a scratch. I run until my head stops aching. Holy shit. We're going flawless. This is giving me so many vibes of the Mass Effect 2 suicide run, the suicide mission. And that's a huge compliment. That is a huge plus for this game. Amazing. This is making me want to do another playthrough, just to be more prepared and to have like more stuff going on. This is amazing. The relief is short-lived. The pond ahead is swarmed with buzzing insects, and judging by the bones of a dragonling you see on the bank, they're as hungry as they are numerous. The only road ahead leads through them, and you may lack the strength to walk around their feeding ground. I'm actually going to add something to that. This is even better than that. Than the suicide run, simply because like you need to also rely on information you've acquired, and you have to actually think about it and look back in your quest logs and find out, like, thank God we got all that information on the monsters, so we know kind of how to deal with these guys. There's so much more that could go wrong, I think. Amazing. All right, I gotta read this again. The relief is short-lived. The pond ahead is swarmed with buzzing insects, and judging by the bones of a dragonling you see on the bank, they're as hungry as they are numerous. The only road ahead leads through them, and you may lack the strength to walk around their feeding ground. I pull out the sting ointment. Let's get to it. The scent of lavender, mint, and basil blends into the human wilderness. Your group covers every ounce of their skin and wraps himself up with scraps of fabric, but waits for you to enter the cloud of wings first. The creatures split in front of you, forming a dark tunnel. Their loud wings shine in the moonlight. Through the gaps between them, I see the hills and the volcano above them. This is amazing! You reach a humble valley. The trees here are sparse, and the stream, while gentle, has completely destroyed the path. At least the moonlight can guide you. The black saurians covered with yellow sparks are too numerous to count. Laying just a few steps away from one another, from the grasses to the branches, most of them are asleep, but a few of the closer ones give you curious glances. Sticking out and hiding their forked tongues rapidly. The beasts aren't massive, maybe 2 steps long. You look to the sides, the hills are impassable. What would you do, Dalit? She looks around with care, then speaks thoughtfully. Animals use this path all the time, so I doubt these saurians are dangerous, and they mostly eat fruit, not meat. They're the ones with the spots on them. Let's go. We have some extra stuff we can throw. That's all we need to hear. I could learn something about them if I were to feed them. I examine the surroundings. You vaguely recognize the shape of fruit trees and shrubs, but no animals seem to browse on them. You crouch down. The road is marked with fresh prints left by various creatures. Suggestions? Not really, he says. Is there land I can fight them? I can run. Firos? We can't feed this many stomachs, and we can't shoot this many thinkers, he says. I don't know. Quintus, any ideas? I'm good at running. Are you? It's not like we can fight them. I would love to feed them something just for fun, but I think we already know. So that's just going to tell us if they eat meat or fruits. What did Dalit say? Here, she speaks thoughtfully. Animals use this path all the time, so I doubt these saurians are dangerous and mostly eat fruit, not meat. So I think we go... Let's not draw their attention. We move by them slowly. It would be better for us to stay on the main path and run by them quickly. Or maybe that. Stay on the main path and run by them quickly. You adjust your equipment and dash forward. The first few surprises beasts move out of your way, but their loud hisses and splashes, they make the flowing water alert their companions. The largest ones are ready to face you, and you just barely find a gap between them. Unscathed, you get out there. Oh, and so does the rest of your group. The valley once again turns into a lush forest. The path here is even narrower than it was before. I glance at the volcano. We're halfway? We're only halfway there? I'm running out of tricks. I'm running out of tricks. The path ahead is overtaken by the thicket, but the fatigue is catching up with you. The remains of a hamlet have no dwellers other than rats and snakes. We should rest here, you say to your companions. You find a flat rock, cover it with your cloak, and let yourself sit idly for a bit before you open your bags. You may not find another time to have a few bites of food. Dalit sits down on another rock and grabs some bone comb. What a mess, she giggles. Thysus spends a few minutes looking through the amulets hanging from his neck. His creepers rest on the ground, twitching every now and then. Phyros clasps his hands and looks around, announcing loudly that he's going to start a fire, but after he fails to find any dry wood, he takes off his shirt and sits by the entrance. Any chances we found ancient mead storage, mumbled Quintus, then sits down on the ground leaning against the tree. I try to figure out what these ruins... I bow my head and try to ignore the loud beasts of the woods. I try to figure out what these ruins used to be. Judging by the stone wall and the now collapsed tower, it could have served as a shelter for 24 humans at once. There are no remains of any sheds, working stations, or tools, and you see nothing unusual but the surrounding rocks and plants. I bow my head and try to ignore the loud beasts of the woods. I need Wright's guidance. Long minutes go by. We didn't need any of that. As you shape awkward, exhausted prayers, you examine your deeds in the recent days until a warm, rejuvenating gust of wind fills your mouth. You spring to your feet, ready to reach your destination. I meet Dalit's eyes. She gives you a playful smile, but says nothing. Her new ponytail reveals her small ears. I glance at Theseus. After collecting his amulets, he winks at you and drinks something from a small flask, ready when you are. Firos, he glances at you. Huh? I'm alright. Quintus, still alive? Oh, you received 2 quarrels, thank God. Duh, he mutters while looking into his bag, then smiles at you. It's easier than I thought, and good thing I brought no crossbow to slow me down. I can't say shit. Want me to take the quarrels that I forgot to unpack? I let my backpack and limbs rest for a bit, then prepare my tools to cut through the bushes. Time to carry on. This is so badass. This is so badass. We're quick saving. You climb to the top of the wall and get to a look ahead. The trail must have overgrown until only recently, but the thorny bushes won't be crossed easily. Reaching the beaten track that leads to the proper woods will take some effort. Hold on a second. I gotta get some water. All right, we're back. Okay, you climb to the top of the wall and get a look ahead. The trail must have overgrown only recently, but the thorny bushes won't be crossed easily. Reaching the beaten track that leads to the proper woods will take some effort. I don't need the withering dust anymore. I use it all. I can't believe how prepared we are for this. I thought this was going to be an absolute shit show. Because like we're rushing to it and we just have to go with what we have. After covering your skin and drawing a mug full of stream water, you spread the poison on the ground step by step and form a passage of twisted burnt stems, still hissing as you move them to the side with your boot. Once you reach the next section of the old road, you take off your thick gloves. I'm so happy we could use this multiple times as well. Make sure there are no thorns stuck in your pants. The road goes straight forward, suddenly getting much wider. The ground is surrounded with collapsed branches, trampled ceilings, and dead road deer. But judging by the beaten path and the pebbles under the surface, the trail is as old as the previous one. I head in the direction of the volcano? I don't know, we're going to examine the area. This sounds like if there's dead road deer. What would you do, Delete? She crouches down, gestures for you to join her. See these puddles? Troll prints. She draws the shape of an ape foot with her hand. It walks here often, both ways. Better to look for another path. I agree. I agree. There's this in the thicket. He takes... oh, pardon me. I'm still a little sick. He takes a few sips of water. His eyes tears. Something large came here, broke the branches, going both this way, nods forward and backward. He points behind him with a thumb. I'd say let's look for another path. Quintus. It takes a few steps up the road. We look for another path. After a short search, you find the remains of an old path behind a few fallen trunks. The rotten, dug-in wooden stairs leading up the hill offer no support, but there's plenty of paw prints on the ground and claw marks on the trees. It's now a convenient game trail. I call the others. Let's see if this path is clear. The narrow, twisted path takes you to a creek, then down the human-carved tunnel leading through a rocky hill. The closer you are to the volcano, the more signs of humans you find. The abandoned tools, the overgrown fences and fire holes, the fruit trees and trimmed centuries-old oaks. The ribbon of smoke hides the stars behind it, though you still can't smell it. The mountain's upper half is black and gray from cold lava and ashes, while the lower half is mostly green, with short but lush trees and thriving flowers bathing in the moonlight. You see the shape of an open gate at the end of the road. This is it, the path to the volcano. The stone posts are dark from dust, but as good as new. Even though the crooked planks of the wooden leaves are beyond restoration, seeing nothing on the top of the wall, you enter the partially burned ruins, with humble buildings sticking out from the layers spit out by the volcano. I remember we heard that he was trying to get to the base of the volcano to find some kind of object of great power. So that's where we're going right now. It takes only a few breaths before the first enemy jumps on the road from the roof of a ruined hut, and your crew prepares their weapons. It's a head shorter than you and walks on its hind legs, but has the head of a raccoon. Though its ears are too small, the fangs too loud, and the eyes resembling those of an ape. Despite its human-like posture, it leans slightly forward, with arms curled up, and has no tail, and keeps sniffing as if it barely sees you. Next is the boar-headed beast, with two sets of remarkable tusks and bristles instead of puffy fur. Then they're joined by two long-tailed rat folks, and a fox folk, and a lizard folk. Delete keeps her crossbow ready, but you can hear her whisper, "Too many." I look for the leader of the pack. The tallest one of them is the beast with deer antlers. It steps forward and crouches down, touching the ground with an open palm. It doesn't make a sound, just pierces you with its almost human eyes. Its pack blocks the twisty path forward that is carved in the mountainside, narrow and completely open from one side. You think of the tales taught to all children in the Dragonwoods. The beast folk may be destructive, but if not threatened, they're willing to trade. You've got some food that you could offer to the creatures, but it's not enough to fill many stomachs. Shit, we needed to have like more food. We've got no supplies, we should seek another path. The beasts stay in the ruined village. You follow the narrow side path, reaching a lone tower made of stone. Though seeing how most of the loose bricks are on the outside of the structure, it could have been a hollow building used to lower down boulders from the platforms at the top. You roll up your sleeves and stretch out your arms. It may be an endeavor, but you can do this. The perfect opportunity for a bone hook. I look at my crew. What do you say? A bit more effort and we're there? I don't want to get locked out. I'm gonna quick save in case like doing one of these locks. I want to do everything if I can. I look at the crew. What do you say? They may be tired, but give you encouraging nods and get to work, helping you reach the tougher spots. The perfect opportunity for the bone hook. You don't put enough trust in the structure to simply climb up the rope, but it secures you as you get higher. Once you get to the top of the tower, you easily reach the collapsing wooden platform. After pulling yourself up a few more times, you're on the ground, grasping for air. There are no monsters in sight, just a trail forward. That bone hook was a lifesaver. I make sure the others are safe. The howling winds pushes your crew up the short path between the tufts of grass, sparse yellow flowers, dormant ashes, and trails of cold lava. Your legs, unused to such a long way for an ache. Dal kneels down on the playground. Someone was here long ago, she says. but went only in one direction. I followed them slowly, looking out for animals. Oh, did we get them? There aren't many signs of the past dwellers. The burnt cart, the collapsed shed, the digging tools made of antler and rusty steel. The trail ends at the cave mouth. The leaves of the gate are made of stone, now ajar. You push aside the battering ram. Less work for us, chuckles Quintus. I drop my heavy bags on the ground. Be ready to fight in narrow corridors. The light you're carrying guides your group through the complete darkness. The polished walls of the tunnel, free of pointy rocks, were no doubt carved by human hands. Your steps are loud. Unlike the gentle draft and the deep stream, you pass by another corridor, buried by the mountain. You gesture for the others to stop. Something behind the corner kicked a rock that is now rolling on the floor. Asterion? Holy shit. The ghastly scream of a human-like throat. Hold on. I'm putting the music up a little bit. This is beautiful. Despite the passing breaths, no attack follows. Holding the light in front of you, you reach the next chamber. The undead is furiously squirming in its attempts to release itself, alternately pulling the spear that's nailing it to the wall and reaching towards you, as if it's hoping you'll fall into its embrace. There are no other corpses in sight. The creature must be starving. Thrysis narrows his eyes. Yeah, it's him. Dalit gives you a worried glance. I'm sorry. Phyros spits on the floor, but then rubs it with his boot as if he had done something inappropriate. Quintus stands close to the exit, forming his arms in the shape of an hourglass. Let me take a look. The half-rotten flesh and the worn, torn tunic tell you little, but Asterion's short shell is still wearing the mail you were told about. Now rusty, even more clangy than a new set. Some of the red hair and beard remain on the monstrous pale face, but most of their strands are all over the floor. The knees of the creature are shattered. Next to them rests a large rock. He did this. He knew he was going to die, so he imprisoned himself here. Absolutely. It's not a monster. The spear is, I'm pretty sure we remember hearing that he had a spear or something of that nature. That's his spear. He broke his legs. He stabbed himself so he wouldn't be able to go out there. He knows what happens. You step closer. The undead does its best to throw itself at you, but it's not strong enough. I raise my blade. A few blows to the head should be enough. There's no reason to waste the crossbow. The labyrinth. Found Asterion. That is... Oh... The feels and the vibes, how the soundtrack is incredible during this scene. Because it's that sad remix of the normal song. Beautiful. It's like a Asterion soundtrack. I love it. When the shell stops moving, the dead hand is still clenched on your gambeson. The corpse leans forward, loosely resting on the heft of his spear. The pieces of the skull are scattered over the chamber. Your crew remains silent. The light flickers. Damn. But did he get it? Did he get what he came for? I search the shell's bundles. No one is eager to assist you. Among the decomposing soggy bags and pouches, you find a humble bunch of coins threaded on a bowstring. Far from the 50 that you were asked to find by Pelt's innkeep. Other than that, you find no potions, weapons, or travel kit, only a few unassembled torches. I examine the cave. The centuries-old treasure spread among the collapsed racks and chests is mostly beyond use. But you do notice a few tools and statuettes made of now green bronze. Judging by the simplicity of the chamber, it was likely little more than a basic storage room. The corridors leading to the deeper caves have all been buried by time. We might as well collect it. So does that mean Asterion had this... He came to this island and searched for something that he thought could make a change or to fix a lot of the problems in the world, but he got here and there was just nothing. It was all just in like legends and there's just nothing here. And it looks like he's the only one that survived. Did he come alone or did he come with a crew? If he came alone, maybe he got here and he knew he couldn't go back, so he just killed himself. This is weird. There seems to be like, there's got to be something more here. Since you have quite a few capable hands with you, the clangs and rattles last for quite a bit. Even though you take only the most promising pieces to avoid encumbrance, Pyrrhus, make sure you don't leave anything of great value behind. Nice. Let's get back to the boat before the sun rises. You spared the corpse one more look. Quintus is the first one to get outside. I should burn the bones. You surround Asterion shell with a few wooden logs and some of his own possessions. The smoke drives you outside. The fresh air makes you yawn. You grab your bags and approach the edge of the scarp, observing the woods of High Island. You recognize the trail that led you here from the Valley of the Saurians. Let's try and follow the same trail. We should be able to reach the harbor before the low tide. Wow. Wow. You help the others push the boat onto the sand. Soon your crew starts to plan their return home. Dali makes sure her crossbow didn't suffer from the salt water. She's seasick again and doesn't say much, but her giggling remains as honest as ever. Thysus throws away some of his creepers. Gotta make new ones when I get home. Phyros recalls the dangers encountered from a few hours back. Though in his tales, he's the one who saved your skid each time. Quintus is moody, though you can't tell if he'd rather fall asleep and get drunk or eat a boar. We still need to reach Gale Rocks. You take off your bundles, splash your face with cold water. You need to take everyone to safety, but then it'll be time to head back to Hovland. I'll find Tulia in Pelt. Okay, it takes us right there. I guess this is the end. Tulia is waiting for you by the window, having her possessions rolled in orderly bundles and the sword by her side. She greets you with a kind nod. Today is the day, I believe. I found Asterion. Tulia doesn't interrupt you, nodding as she keenly listens to your tale about the clues and rumors, the old tribes, and the awakened corpse. She ponders for a bit, looking at the oven. So what do you make of it? Not the brightest death I could wish for someone. He knew the danger, but took the risk anyway, a fair end to his journey. He bit off more than he could chew. Now his kids will face the consequence. Oh, I don't know what to think. I'd like to know his perspective. He made a mistake, that's all, has nothing to do with me. Honestly, I may end up the same way. I kind of don't know what to think. I'd like to know his perspective, like what was going on? What was he after? What was he searching for, and why? And Glaucio had a big role in this, right? She was the one that was really trying to help him. But she was probably in it for her own reason, her own gains. Maybe was it literally just to find treasure? Was it just for riches? But then why would the Green Mountain people trust him? And why would he say, like, hold on to the sword and keep it safe? Like, he went there for, and they trusted him to go back to their hometown. They didn't want me. They said they were going to cut off my limbs for anyone who touches that place. I wonder if we knew more. Like, if we could have befriended the Green Mountain people, we would have known more what he was looking for. And then we would have had a different ending, like the best possible ending. It's a fair end. I think we go just this one. He knew the danger, but he took the risk anyway. It's a fair end to his journey. Oh, but I would love to know. I don't know what to think. I'd like to know what his perspective was. Well, we can't read his soul. Let it go. It's in the past now. You're right. I'll be fine. Asterion's family won't be happy to hear the news, but thanks to you, they can start to heal. Now we need you to take care of yourself. You've got potential. That's the plan. She stretches out, heads upstairs, and brings you a few items. That's enough of them to make her stumble, but she covers her embarrassment with a chuckle. Well, this is my part of the deal. She rests two weapons against the table. You remove the cloth wrapped around the spear's head. It's sharp, made of steel. The shaft is made of thick oak. Asterion must have had pretty large hands and is partly covered with linen cord and leather straps, intended to support one's grip. The bow is currently unstrung, but it would be about 5 feet long. The polished red oak shines in the light. You wonder if you're too old to learn how to shoot such a weapon. I look at the things on the table. The leather pouch must be decades old. You shake it. There's a few bones inside, but also something made of metal. You reach the earthenware bottles. 3 of them are very similar to each other, as small as your fist, and all are sealed with wax, though the tiny sticks in them will enable swift opening. Tulia explains that they contain small amounts of a healing concoction. The last bottle is much larger. There are 2 letters engraved on its surface unknown to you. The soldier has no idea what it is. Finding space for all of it among my bundles won't be easy. Gordon spares you a glance as you reach towards your bundles, but then returns to its nap. You take a deep breath. You could have taken it the easy way out, but you didn't. Your back, buttocks, and legs are aching from the long journey. The first night you spend on the peninsula feels like a lifetime ago. Yet you're still here. And who knows, maybe even rich. So we ended up getting Asterion's... We got Asterion's bottle, a large earthenware bottle filled with some liquid. Asterion's bow, a smooth bow about 5 feet long. You lack proper training, but you could still sell it. His pouch, you hear dragon bones hitting something made of metal. And his spear, a long spear with an oak shaft, steel head, and an old linen cord in the middle. I go back to Tulia. Okay, I'm going to quick save. There's nothing else we can do, right? Yeah, it's not even going to let me. I can't travel, I can't do anything, so I think this is it. We finished the adventure. I managed to discover how to Asterion against all odds, and I collected my reward. I wonder if we could find this early, and then we could, like, it says you can sell some of this stuff, so then you could still go and fix the other problems of the land. So the only thing we didn't do, and we did have the opportunity to do it, is to make a decision about Howler's Dell. We didn't make a decision about Howler's Dell, so I'm wondering if it's going to not give us any resolution with that, which kind of sucks. Let's do it. She rests her hands on her knees and straightens up. I am if you are. You look outside. It's too late to ride to the other side of Hag Hills, but you could leave first thing in the morning. Let's take your bundles outside. With no tribe willing to allow me to stay with them, all I've got left is to head back to the city. What? We could have had a tribe take us in? Oh, come on. What? Creeks isn't going to let us in? We helped them so much. I thought Creek for sure was going to let us in. Oh, that's heartbreaking. You look outside. It's too late to ride to the other side of Hag Hills, but you could leave first thing in the morning. I don't know what this means. Maybe later? There's nothing, like, if I say there's nothing else I can do, let's take your bundles outside. The owners recognize you in the Bless the Empress Inn. This time around, you've got a few dragon bones to spare, and you spend the night in a proper bed, holding a mug of steaming pigeon soup. The days fade away slowly with Tulia by your side. You can't simply outrun the autumn predators, and a few times your journey gets violent. She's a good companion, a bit quiet, but resourceful. After all the fighting I did in the north, this road isn't too rough. I wonder if it'll be the last time I stay at roadside inns. I think it's not too tough. We can go that route. After 2 days, the road gets wider and harder, and you meet the first patrol of soldiers, as well as spot the familiar stone statues honoring the old, now destroyed villages and almost forgotten tragedies. We're here, says the lieutenant, in the last village you visit before reaching the city walls. Without explaining, she approaches a few red-haired farmers that are observing you curiously from the bench in front of their pit house. After exchanging a few words with them, Tulia gestures towards you. The Roadwarden is who should be thanked for finding him. The strangers keenly listen to your tale, then, with smiles clouded by grief, thank you for your bravery. A man who looks younger than the rest can't stop his tears once he hears his pa has been spared the cursed fate and found his end in the flames. After a silent yet delicious meal, you resume your journey, carrying with you their names and invitation. Maybe I'll meet them in the spring. This is the end of their father's tale. Before we leave, I grab myself a juicy pear. Maybe I'll meet with them in the spring. After taking care of some chores and meeting a few friendly faces, you leave your mount in the stables, which, as it often happens, are almost empty. Your eyes are used to the usual conglomerate of ruins, the makeshift huts and sheds, the restored, whitewashed houses, and the few well-kept residences that managed to outlast the invasion. The streets are busy, with plenty of children and their young, working parents. Hovlivin may have been sick in the past, but it's been healing patiently. You take your equipment to the backwood corner. It's a bit pricey, but your friends at the Apple and the Boar will be happy to offer you a short stay. You listen to the rumors, but as the minutes go by, no one approaches you or asks for your help. The trade goes fine, you hear. The city chief has a daughter now. The new ship is ready to sail. The taxes are coming. The beasts of the harbor keep bothering workers, but there have been no deaths recently. I listen carefully. Maybe someone will have a job for me. I remain watchful. Things are not as quiet as they seem. I keep to myself, enjoying the calm before the storm. I join a group of patrons. Let's have a drink. I think that's the way to celebrate. We're back home. Things are going back to normal. Let's have a drink. You ignore the growing drunken crowd so familiar to you and get a good sleep. Your head downstairs and asked for the remains of the last day's supper, ibik stew, a piece of rat pie, and a mug of kefir. You listen to the Emperor's Mask, the hymn from the old times coming from the window. Hovlevin is returning to work. When the messenger shows up, you let out a sigh. The merchants want to see you in an hour. You spend some time at a small public bathhouse. You wouldn't be allowed in the one for the rich folk, and prepare your somewhat clean outfit in the streets. You blend in with the working folk. On your way, the familiar faces spare you a few nods, but as always, the city folk are too busy trying to outcompete one another, seeking dignity in the realm that belongs to the rich and the priests. Yet it's me who's going to win a better life here. To gather my thoughts, I spend some time wandering in the marketplace. I head to the guild quickly. I want to be done with. I spend some time wandering. Gather the thoughts. You need to kind of think about what you want here. I kind of want to go back to that place. We in Delhi had something special going there. You know? I want to go back to the old country life. After a few hours of exhausting examination, you lean against the wall observing the arguing leaders. Their jewelry and colorful fabrics could provide for many northern families, maybe even pay for a new stronghold. You wouldn't recognize the priests of the United Church if it wasn't for their familiar faces. At least you had more luck than that poor wretch, mentions one of the traders. No one here remembers Astarion's name. The news you brought from the island is of great value. You ask for something to clear your throat. Your detailed description of the peninsula made quite an impression, and you may be asked to speak with a cartographer later. And it's clear you're familiar with quite a few northerners. You fill the gaps in your report. You discuss the recent disappearance of the trading cavern, the partnership with Eudocia, the few times you crossed the heart of the wood, the way you reached High Iron, the copper vein, the shelter by the northern road, the now flooded mine in the south. Not about Hovlevin. Not Hovlevin, Howler's Dell. Still, it's your dealings with the tribes that will have the greatest impact of the decision. I recollect the blizzard of questions about the villages. I relax and wait for them to address me. The oldest soul at the table, who started her life in the guild as a simple innkeeper, smiles at you. Where do you think we should start? What do you mean? One of the artisans chirps in. We need to discuss things in detail, of course, but we can't bring guards and builders to all the villages at once. Since you know the peninsula better than anyone, where do you think would be the best starting point? I wish we could just tell them about Howler's Dell. Oh, this is tough. Like, I don't know if I'm screwing over the peninsula by having them move in, but White Marshes is, like, destroyed. It could help them. It could really help them if they move into White Marshes and, like, rebuild it. A clerk puts a rack pad on the top of the pile, then opens another one, letting out its long sigh. I keep writing the peninsula. Does that place have any name? There's one I can think of. How would you call the peninsula? Asterions Carl. What is it like where it's like a responsibility, a name for responsibility? Astarion's Rest. Bam. Us Roadwardens gotta stick together. The Roadwarden completed the mission. After 3 days, you take part in a brief meeting in the guild's chambers. You're welcomed by a few council representatives. We're going to move forward with the investment. You're finally here. Your services are much appreciated. You return to the street with a wooden casket, heavy with dragon bones. You were paid fairly, but still not enough to save the person from whom you left the city in the first place. What? You were paid fairly, but it's still not enough to save the person? We wanted to save our sibling, and we had to collect at least like 100 dragon bones or something like that. I thought that we would have got enough. Really? How many dragon bones do we got here? 22? I don't think it added to it. Ah, this is not the end. I'll find the coins I need and fix it all. No, so we managed to do a lot of quests for others, but we didn't accomplish our quest. The flow of merchant soldiers, explorers, and supplies brought many changes to the north. While some of the tribes tried to stay independent, they couldn't resist the temptation of new inventions, crops, and security. After a few generations, the sparse settlements were indistinguishable from the other regions of the province, with safe roads, strong walls, and regular visitors. The trade route following the Western Trail greatly benefited for the dwellers of the Pelt of the North. After a few more years, they moved to Hovleven, living off their savings and occasional mercenary work, forming an experienced squad. The inn was sold to the city officials and remained one of the few shelters in the dangerous north. One of the new guards was Tulia, who arrived to Pelt soon after losing her squad, seeking stable work among the hunters. Pardon me, I had to cough. Unlike her new crew, she didn't cross Hag Hills ever again. Instead, she found work as a woodcutter in Gale Rocks. Hey! The people of Howlersdale gladly became a part of the new trade route, and if there were any objections, they were muffled underneath Thias's iron fist. However, lacking in resources, the village could never be fully free of its dependence on the other tribes. More and more words of the city folk sunk into the speech of the locals, and as time went on, their customs changed. After the priest of the right arrived, the mayor was among the first souls to convert. The influence of the druids dwindled, never to recover. Steep House stood in silence, avoided by the caravans that cut a new path through the haunting clearing. It provided for a few more scavengers and gave shelter to beasts, then slowly faded away, until there were but a few broken walls surrounding the paved square. Oh, I wish we talked about it. At least we may have seen something here. But I was hoping we could go up and talk to people in the north and maybe get someone to help us. The tribe of Old Pagos lost many lives to the plague and even more to the harsh winter, but the village survived as united as ever. Thanks to the revitalized trade route, the locals returned to their craft, providing the essential material to the now growing security of the northern roads and settlements. The tribe kept their savings for the darker days, which indeed came rather quickly. Tertia stayed in the village, but rejected the further responsibilities of a leader, returning the power to the elders. She spent a few years patrolling the roads until, wounded by a werebadger, she became a combat instructor. Quintus eagerly joined his friends at Pelt. His next few years were full of brave hunts and drinking until he mixed the two a bit too much, barely escaping a runner. With the help of his companions, he began his path towards maturity. The monastery, left to itself, lost any interest in the outside world. The years went on, and sounds of hammers and chanting gave way to the wind. After a century, a group of adventurers sought treasures inside the ruins, but while there were many, the main mountain had mysteriously collapsed under its own weight, as if it was hollow inside. Aurentius kept his word and steered clear of black magic, stepping into the background of local politics. When he guided his neighbors spiritually, he no longer claimed to be a prophet. The people of White Marshes were steadily growing in comfort, not only trading with the city folk, but also offering their services as guards to the caravans and travelers, gaining more from such journeys than they ever would from their unusual soil. Helvius's short-sighted leadership hindered the Hovleven investments, but his tribe left behind the lean years once he grew too weak to uphold his position. After getting a taste of adventure on High Island, Thrisis stopped waiting for his family's acceptance. Having no plants to bend in Hovleven, he moved to another province, working as a guard for travelers and merchants traveling through its dark wetlands. We never got to tell Thrisis that his dad said he could come back. The caravans made all the difference to Foggy, who used the dragon boats to pay for the supplies and help that were needed to build a proper wall. Then the first new buildings of her growing hamlet. While the exhausting combination of running the shelter and building new structures finally stopped her aging heart, she spent the last 2 decades of her life being louder than ever, filled with goals and ambitions. The place known as Foggy's Inn stands to this day on the bank of Foggy Lake, run by the tribe of the Creeks. Okay. Ilan and, to a lesser extent, Tzvi, were welcomed among the hunters, and after learning a few things from them, worked as the inn's trappers to the end of their days. Awesome. Thanks to the new supplies gained through trade, the children of Creeks grew strong, but far from being rich. While the village was bursting with life, constantly pursuing new ideas for a better tomorrow, most of them ended in nothing. On the other hand, the locals never tied themselves too strongly with the city and maintained their unusual customs. Ela quickly realized that keeping the road safe was a much better way to earn dragon bones than selling his crooked chairs and tables. While he wasn't a fighter, he often joined the merchants traveling the peninsula, exchanging news and suggesting new investments. In the meantime, he was gladly engraving the shapes of animals on cups and plates. Ephron, shaken by what happened to his friends, spent a few years traveling with caravans and learning from other tribes about more efficient, disciplined ways of organizing hunts and foraging trips. While it wasn't easy for him to influence his family, his efforts saved many lives of the younger generations. The people of Gale Rocks needed little, and after selling the excess of fish and salt, they received enough crops and tools to prosper, sticking to their familiar edge of the world. In the years to come, their days were good and, for the most part, remained the same. Though with difficulty, the road leading through the heart of the forest was restored, maintained by the combined efforts of soldiers and the locals. Glockier found herself a new target, the people of Howler's Dell. Yes! She bothered them for a few years, but lost most of her companions to blades, claws, and illness. Ashamed of her weakness, she left her camp one spring dawn, never to return. The tribe of the Green Mountain, worried about the growing presence of the city folk, ended up blocking the trail that connected it to the rest of the peninsula. Every once in a while, the rumors of pagans of weird tongue, seen by the eastern trails, spread among the merchants, but a keen listener would notice that such tales always differed when it came to describing the tribe's clothing, weapons, and skin. The Roadwarden of Astarion's Rest didn't return to their routine of a city folk. Thanks to their decent equipment and combat experience, they managed to join a group of mercenaries, losing an arm during a risky caravan trip through the late autumn. What are you talking about, losing an arm? While it was enough to save their loved one, the rider had to sell their mount and weapons, using the scarce savings to learn a new trade. Wait, it was enough, so we ended up saving our sibling in the end, even though we had to lose an arm for it. What a way for our Roadwarden to end. He did a lot of good. I think he did a lot of good. But he ends up kind of living a life of, I don't know if it's poverty, but he accomplished a lot, but at the sacrifice of his own well-being and his own life. I kind of like it. It's not a happy ending, but I think it's a, what is it? It's a purposeful ending. You know, like he's gonna die with a feeling of purpose in his life, and I think that's more important sometimes. It's never about the end result of the journey. It's about the choices we make along it. The Roadwarden. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our playthrough of the Roadwarden. There are so many things I want to experience in this game. That the whole ending of this was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I want to go back. I want to like make some saves, reload some saves, and answer that question about the fate of Howler's Dell. I want to see if that screws Thias in the end, or if it makes her stronger or whatever. I really want to see how that happens. But yeah, if you've stuck around for this whole playthrough, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's inspired you to open your repertoire into games of this genre. I think they could be very unique and create a lot of wonderful experiences. Anyway, until the next one, enjoy whatever you guys enjoy doing. Thanks for your continued support, and get out of here.